Hi, Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns. I spent last week at the Utah Woodturning Symposium. There are a lot of great ideas and great projects and great techniques that I'll be spending the next few months trying to incorporate into my repertoire. One idea that I didn't see, but my wife did, was a leaf plate. Raleigh Lockhart would take fresh leaves from different places that he had visited, trace them onto wood, and turn a plate out of them. I didn't see that, and I have no fresh leaves. It's spring and they're all pretty small. But I have the internet, and so I found one that I liked on the internet. This is a grape leaf. Traced it, put it into Photoshop, touched it up, draw a target on it, and then turned this grape leaf plate. So let's make this part of our skill set.
To prepare, I cut off a piece of 4x4 rough sawn maple. I did not plane or sand it because I will be shaping both sides of the timber. I found a grape leaf profile on the internet and pasted it into Photoshop to clean it up. Then I drew a circle in the middle of the leaf and moved it to where the plate will be balanced. Then I marked the center of the circle so I can use it later to center it with the tailstock. After printing, I used spray adhesive to attach the pattern to the wood. Now at the scroll saw, I chose a coarse blade in view of the hard, thick maple. The downside is that the saw blade will not easily turn, and I'll have to make relief cuts to make all the coves and points. One problem is when I back up around a loose piece, the blade binds and wants to lift the board. I also have to avoid putting too much pressure on the wood. If I do, the blade bends and I get a bead instead of a straight edge. So easy does it. Maybe next time I'll use a thinner blade. If I do, I'll have to take the cut more slowly. Now the wood is ready to mount to the lathe. My first thought is to mount it directly to the face of my scroll chuck. Then, thinking of the unsupported tips of the leaf, I decided to press it to a large threaded wood faceplate. At least this should reduce vibration at the tips. I started with a pull cut, but switched quickly to a push cut from the outside to the inside. I let the wood sound off against the bevel of my gouge, then withdrew the gouge a little and approached from the perimeter. This worked well. Seeing some tear out, I increased speed. That helped reduce the tear out. Then I marked off a tenon for mounting and finished shaping the bottom. Then I sanded the bottom side mostly by hand with the lathe off. Even on this maple, the area to sand is small enough that this is not too big of a task. Now I can reverse the plate into my scroll chuck. I'm working the outer edge first, keeping a mass of wood in the center to reduce vibration. I'm tooling down to about 1/4 inch with my spindle gouge. A high speed and sharp tool works wonders. The cutaway portions enable me to more easily sight the cut to achieve a good uniform wall thickness. Next, I'll sand the outer portion. Again, this sanding is by hand with the lathe off. Finally, I can remove the center wood. I cut most of it with a heavy stroke with pressure in line with the axis. This avoids lateral pressure that, combined with a catch, would be a disaster. Then I can take light strokes to clean up the bottom. Then sand the middle up through the grits. The very center I can sand with the lathe running. Outside of that, where I need to touch up from before, I'm sanding again with the lathe off. I still need to clean up the foot. I have a rounded wood faceplate mounted to the lathe. I put a piece of sanding pad between it and the plate. The plate is held in place with tailstock pressure while I remove the tenon and blend it into the bottom curve. then sand the cut area. However, the foot is so small, I want to do more, but I cannot fit my tools into this tight space. So I'm changing the mount to use double stick tape between the plate and the bottom. Then, very carefully, tool out the center just a little bit more before sanding and signing. After signing, I tried to remount the faceplate and plate again to finish it. However, I put just a little too much pressure on it and the tape gave way. So I'm holding it carefully while I'm brushing on lacquer and wiping off any excess. A quick buffing and I'm finished. My grape leaf plate looks great. There are a lot more leaves I could try. I think I like the wider leaves for plates unless I can group them together, but that implies some way to show separation. There's a lot more special decoration effects I could use if I want to, like pyrography or airbrushing or dyeing or carving or whatever. But I like the simple look of this plate. It's a keeper, and the process is a keeper. We'll see you again next week for another wood turning video. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and tell your friends. Always wear your full face shield. Goggles are not enough protection. Until next week, this is Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns. Let's keep on turning.